Good morning and happy post-Memorial Day weekend. Great weekend. I felt rested and recovered. So today we're going to talk about oxygen therapy or hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So here's a question. Why do we need oxygen? Oxygen is so important for so many metabolic and cellular functions in our body, but number one is our Krebs cycle. You might remember that from high school or college. Krebs cycle helps us make ATP. ATP is our energy source, and there's like 16 different areas where oxygen is important, helping convert enzymes into this ATP molecule. So oxygen gives us energy, and we all need energy. So when we look at the brain needs three things. It needs oxygen to function. It needs glucose to also help make that ATP, the right amount of glucose, which we've talked about many times, and it needs stimulation. So in this office, when we work with our brain patients, our concussion patients, stroke patients, we have to look at all those things to help for a complete recovery. So let me go into some simple science behind this. So we're using an oxygen tank. It's acrylic, it's not a soft tank, and it is completely pressurized. We go to 1.5 atmospheres. So let's figure out what's an atmosphere, or one absolute ATA. That is equal to 33 feet underwater. So we've all jumped off the high dive and gone to 12 feet. You know that pressure you get in the ears? That's at 12 feet. So we go atmosphere and a half. So you're gonna get that pressure. So we go very slow with it. We take 15 minutes to get you down to pressure, or the 1.5 atmospheres, staying there for an hour, and then we take 15 minutes to bring us back up to regular pressure, to take it easy on your inner ears. So why do we use hyperbaric oxygen? Well, first of all, we have to give you good oxygen. So we put a mask on the patient. We use 96% pure oxygen. That, as you breathe and you under this pressure, pushes oxygen into all of our cells of our body, but it pushes it into the plasma. So our plasma is in our in our bloodstream. It's not the red blood cells, it's not the white blood cells, it's not all the other stuff in there. It's the kind of the juice all around there. Well, that plasma goes to every tissue of our body, and it goes very easily to our brain. So we use pressurized oxygen while breathing 96% pure oxygen. It's very relaxing. So CMS, or Medicare, has 15 medically approved conditions for hyperbaric oxygen. We do not usually see those people because that requires a much higher atmosphere. Again, we use 1.5. They use 2 up to 4, even 5 atmospheres with that in it. Our machine does not do that. So what are some of the conditions and some of the research that is out there that's been used off-label? And off-label just means it's used in a wonderful way. So we see it work great with traumatic brain injuries. There's some great research on that, great research on stroke, great research on decrease in inflammation. It helps with neurodegenerative diseases. It helps with mold issues. It also helps with hypoxia. So hypoxia is the ability, or when people have low oxygen levels. So we're going to share a video. I have a great before and after video of a gentleman that came in. He had, I believe, around 70 apneic events an hour. So what does that mean? He stopped breathing 70 times in an hour period. So over 1 a minute, he stopped breathing. So he was not getting oxygen. He was wearing a CPAP, but not getting it. He just developed a hand tremor. And that this was not Parkinson's, because this is what we call an intention tremor. When he would do something, he would shake. When he was resting, he had no shakes. He had one 90-minute session, and again, we'll share the pre and post video. It's quite incredible, the response that this has. It was actually an eye-opener for me. So, how does this work, or how does hyperbaric oxygen work? So number one, it reduces inflammation. And again, I'll post some studies on this very in detail, cellularly and immunologically. I can't even say it. Immunologically, how this stuff works. So number one, it reduces all of our inflammation. Who's not inflamed? It also inhibits apoptosis. Apoptosis is a big word. So when our cells die, which happens, our red blood cells die after 120 days, our body has to go through apoptosis to get rid of things. Well, especially with strokes and brain injuries and toxic effects of mold and Lyme, things like this, our cells start to die really quick. So what we would do, or excuse me, what oxygen does, it helps basically inhibit that from happening. It also reduces intracranial pressure, so pressure inside our head. Now, some concussions have bleeds, which is big pressure, need to be taken care of at the hospital, at the emergency room. If there's something left over and they're not in need from hospital work, we can do some of that here. Lastly, and I think this is the coolest part, it promotes neurogenesis and angiogenesis, big words. So Genesis, what does that mean? It's the Bible, it's the beginning. So with neurogenesis, it actually, and again, this is the research shows us, it helps us produce more neurological connections, more little bitty nerves that can now connect to other ones. So the more talking connections we have, the better the brain can work. Also called neuroplasticity. Angiogenesis is super cool. And again, this is in the research, which we're going to post. Angiogenesis is actually making new blood vessels, little capillaries, especially if we can do that in the brain that's lost volume or had concussed or strokes. We can actually start having these blood vessels grow and it can deliver more oxygen and blood to the brain. So that's real quick. What I'm going to talk about on Thursday is we're going to actually go in and we're going to show you somebody in the tank. I'm going to put Anna, our little resident video girl behind you there. We're going to put her in the tank. So she's going to go in with her camera into the tank so people can take a good look at this. We'll kind of talk a little bit more about that. We'll review what we just talked about today. But again, that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoy this. Please post something. Let us know what you want to know about this. Any more questions? Again, I'm going to post a video. We're going to post some good studies on this. And contact us if you got any type of questions or any information that you want from us. Have a great week.